What's up, YouTube? Capital G here. We've got the finals of the 2014 World Championship of Yu-Gi-Oh! We've got Infernity, played by Cerebi. You guys should know him. He was, he qualified during our nationals, the TCG nationals. And we have Shunsuke Hirayama. I feel like that's, I'm not disrespecting the guy, but I feel like that's a name, like, I've heard in anime before, Shunsuke. I can't remember what from. He's got 5 monsters. Wow, that's a lot. I don't know how to perceive that opening hand because it's 5 monsters, and he has one way of making +1, that being obviously Karkardi, which is what he used. He's playing pure artifacts, like he's playing kind of like TR Trainer's deck and from Dueling Network, where he's running like all types of artifacts, and that's mainly because Marotech is limited for worlds. And it looks like Cerebi has Dynatherum, and he's like, I'm gonna go ahead and use it. Shunsuke does I don't know if Karkardi, I'm trying to think. Yeah, I think Karkardi can be special summoned. It's just its effect activates when normal summon. He opts not to use that effect, and here's the thing about this and why Cerebi's at a very good position. Yeah, even if he doesn't go off here, he can just still attack. Because right now, Shunsuke doesn't have any monsters. He has the one back row, and Cerebi's playing extremely safe. By the way, I really like his hat. That's a Toronto Blue Jays hat, it appears. I really like that hat. I wish he would have wore the white Blue Jays hat. I think that's one of the coolest MLB hats around. I'm pretty sure Slim from Team X, Team Symmetry will agree with me. And he just leaves his monsters on board. Oh, I see what he's doing. Cerebi's smart. He's kind of slow rolling this. I guess he feels like both of his monsters, he doesn't really care if they die or not. He's just trying to get in for damage. He knows that he has Soul Charge. So the way that he looks at it as, my monsters are expendable. Obviously, when Infernity goes second, especially if their opponent goes plus during the first turn, as Shunsuke did. That plus can be Murmillo, that plus can be Karkardi, that plus can be a gadget. If you go plus, then you obviously open up the ability for Infernity to just say, okay, well, I'll just make, what's it called? I'll just make Exciton Knight, and I'll try and clear your board out. And at a minimum, I'll get 1 card from you, and then, you know, potentially if it dies, I can Soul Charge and try it again. So he doesn't feel the need to do that play here, and I agree, because he only would have gotten 1 card. Now you see that Shunsuke summons Murmillo for the bottomless trap hole. So obviously Cerebi knows that he needs to adjust his plans, but he's still actually in a good position simply because if bottomless trap hole is the only card that your opponent sets, or if your opponent only sets 1, you immediately can put them on the bottomless and try and play around it. Now again, Shunsuke has DD Crow and Valor. That's where the trouble is going to start. You see that Cerebi has Archfiend, he's got Soul Charge, he has Eris, he has Foolish. Murmillo clashes. Now, the tipping in the favor of Shunsuke might be because he has that Dianar, and it's already locked and loaded. You see that Cerebi drew a break, which means it might be in his best favor to try and get his Archfiend dead. You know what I mean? Because then break would actually be live, or just try and find some way of getting like mass cards into the graveyard. Like I would see now as a pretty good time to try and go for an XC play. You know, maybe summon the Archfiend, try and go into Lavalval Chain, see what happens. Okay, he summons Eris. I won't totally be shocked if he just goes into beatdown mode though, because you got to look at it like this. Archfiend Eris is 1k, and Infernity, or not Infernity, Street Patrol is, Street Patrol is another 16. He can do 2600. That would put his opponent at what, 22? You know what I mean? And that's what he's doing. He's just swinging. So he attacks again. And he puts Shunsuke at 2200. Now, see, this is good because it opens up some options. It opens up options to where cards like Cowboy and Black Ship of Corn become really, really relevant. And at the same time, Cerebi doesn't even know it, but he actually saved himself from the Dayanara MST. I believe that's Call of the Haunted that Shunsuke just picked up. I'll have to wait and see when they reveal the cards. But what actually just happened there is Cerebi doesn't know it, but he really just saved himself from getting blown up by what's it called, by Dayanara, because he could have set the break, which it wouldn't have been a live card. It just would have been a bluff. It would have been a card that he could have used for future turns, and he would have ended up losing his break for nothing. I guess he might fear an MST and think, if I'm not going to set my break now, I'm going to wait until I can go off, and then I'm going to try and, set all my protection at once. Thus, if he has the blind MST, or if he has the MST for, one of my cards, then at least I don't lose my only defensive card. The way that he's looking at the game state right now is, this dude hasn't put pressure on me at all. So even if my field gets torched, I'm going to soul charge for everything. That's probably how he's thinking. He's thinking, I've got Dynatherm in the graveyard. I'll have Street Patrol in the graveyard. I'll have Eris in the graveyard. Hopefully Eris will trigger, get me maybe a Paralabyrinth or an Archfiend or something like that if I need it. And then I can soul charge back. I think he's trying to get the maximum value out of soul charge. I think that he wants Shunsuke to exhaust resources, killing his cards, so that when he makes his soul charge play, he can get as much as he can. And I kind of like this pace. You know what I mean? I kind of like this pace because he's gotten so much value out of just very weak monsters. I mean, that Street Patrol has done 3,600, and you see that Dayanara is summoned. It seems like the most logical play for Shunsuke. And he obviously goes for Murmillo. Can't blow up anything because Cerebi has no cards. Also avoiding double Cyclone at the same time. So, I mean, that artifact monster that's sitting in his back row, it's just not doing anything right now. I would imagine he's going to exceed. Neither monster... Okay, no, he's just going to attack. He attacks over Street Patrol, doing 100 damage. I thought maybe he was going to exceed first, just because the Exceeds have higher attack, so it seems like if you attacked Street Patrol with an Exceed, probably would have did a little more damage. Okay, so he goes into the sailboat, and it looks like he's going to burn Cerebi for 1,000 life points. Now again, that was pretty much one of Shunsuke's bigger plays, so I wouldn't be surprised here if Cerebi tries to counter. I mean, again, he has Foolish Burial, and he's got Soul Charge as well. He's also going to be drawing one more. I believe that they're allowing Cerebi to read Black Ship of Corn because Shunsuke might be playing with an OCG copy of the card. And he does take that 1,000 damage. And he triggered it. Wow. That sucks. Yeah, you know what? Eris, I believe it's just sent to the graveyard. I don't believe it's destroyed. Yeah, because if you send it from Lavalval Chain, it will trigger. And that's unfortunate. That may have been a mistake by Shunsuke. I mean, yeah, he got the damage in, but at the same time, he totally gave him an Archfiend. Now he's sitting on 2. He can obviously normal summon one. He can probably feed it to Bottomless, and then he can special summon the other one with Infernity, or excuse me, using Street Patrol. You see, Shunsuke sets more cards. If Cerebi has the confidence to go off, I think he'll be in good shape, or to attempt to go off. I mean, he really only needs one attack. And technically, if he doesn't set anything, he can actually win this turn with 101. I don't think he can win this turn. He drew a Lance. Okay, that kind of changes things, actually. That changes things a lot, because now you can essentially play around the Bottomless. And you know, if you're Cerebi, your opponent has the Bottomless Shuffle. Cerebi has some thinking to do. I mean, it depends on if he wants to soul charge or not. Although, I guess No, I'm not sure if he could win because by him setting cards so that he could trigger his Archfiend, he would give his opponent the ability to double Cyclone him. Thus, at the very least, put Bagatech on board. So yeah, I don't think that he'd be able to potentially what's it called. So he's gonna special his Archfiend by using Street Patrol. I thought maybe he would that's a little strange. I thought what he was gonna do is I thought he was gonna normal summon his Archfiend, set everything, and then activate his Archfiend from hand. At least that way he would have gotten a search for a launcher. So not totally sure. Because the way that I look at it is I think that Soul Charge should be like a last pitch effort. I mean, you don't know that your opponent has Valor or Crow. So I would have thought that maybe I would have tried to save my my what's it called, my Archfiend effect. Unless let's just keep let's keep it 100, guys. Unless he's going for the secondary win condition of this deck. We know what that secondary win condition is. I'm talking about Excite Knight. He normal summons Archfiend. Now, again, Excite Knight is great. It can't technically play around Effect Veiler, but it can play around other cards, like Bottomless Trap Hole because he has Forbidden Lance. So, I mean, I believe that he's probably going to go for Exciton Knight. That seems like the most logical choice here. I believe that Shunsuke just asked Serebii how many cards he had in his hand, and he said 4. Oh wow, Shunsuke has another Dynar. That's going to be huge because he has already detached the Murmillo. So basically he has another rank 4 coming next turn. Unless Serebii can stop it. I think that Serebii is going to have to debate whether he wants to try and make an offensive push or whether he wants to make the Exciton Knight. I mean, if he Exciton Knight obviously can dance around Bottomless Trap Hole. It'll force Shunsuke to use the Veiler. And he'll still be able to Soul Charge him, actually. He'll still be able to Soul Charge. But I think that he might want to consider Lavalval Chain and maybe just going off. Okay, so he does bring out E-Knight. That's what I thought. I mean, at this point, Shunsuke has way more cards. I mean, Serebii only has 5. Okay, so Shunsuke does use Effect Veiler on Serebii's Exciton Knight. And Exciton Knight is at danger, obviously. Keep that in mind because he obviously could use the Sailboat's effect and just blow it up, doing 1,000 damage. I believe he might be asking how many cards does he currently have in his hand. I would not be totally shocked if he Soul Charged and went and tried to make another Exciton Knight. I mean, it just wouldn't totally shock me. That's all I'm saying. Because Infernity notoriously played 2 Exciton Knights, and I know that you'd be losing your first one, but to me, it seems possible. You see him set 2 cards, probably Break and Lance, keeping the Soul Charge in his hand once again as a last-ditch effort, or pretty much the last hope. Now he doesn't know this, but Shunsuke doesn't know this, but one of those cards are dead. Well, no, he has 2 in hand, so not sure what is on the table exactly. I would imagine Soul Charge is in his hand, and I think we're going to see possibly a double Cyclone. He has Call of the Haunted too. Actually, Shunsuke's in a great position to counter because he can Call of the Haunted for Murmillo, blow up a back row, and then double Cyclone the other one. And that's exactly what he did. He plays Call of the Haunted for Murmillo to pop a back row. That's Infernity Break. And he might want to think about using double Cyclone. Just if nothing else to put as much damage on board because he could actually knock Serebii out of Soul Charge camp. Like he can knock him out of that Soul Charge range by going double Cyclone for Beg Attack. I mean, I personally would do it. No, don't do that. I personally would do it. I feel like if you go double Cyclone right now, you take away your opponent's only defense, right? You take away this face down card. You can get rid of Exciton Knight using Black Shippocorn's effect. Murmillo can attack, Dianara can attack, Begatech can attack, then you can do Cowboy, that's 800 more. Whatever that damage is, that's the most damage you could have done. And I'm pretty sure that's a lot. 1,000 plus 16 from Murmillo, that's 26, plus 17, that's 43, plus 800, that's 51, 800 from Cowboy, obviously. Plus what? 1,400? 51, that's 65. If Begatech is 14, that's 6,500 damage. That means that your opponent can't do anything. Okay, I think that's what he's going to do. He double Cyclones. Oh, he didn't target his Begatech. Interesting. But I think he may have just drawn another Murmillo. Okay, so Cowboy or Black Shippocorn is used, which means that Exciton Knight dies. Cerebi lost both of his back row, by the way. And Shunsuke is still sitting on Begatech and Bottomless. The Bottomless is going to be really important. I think that Shunsuke has won the game now. I think that Cerebi, I think maybe he should have went for it with during his last turn. I felt like he should have pushed harder. I think he should have just went ahead and used the Soul Charge because he doesn't know it yet, but his window is about to slam shut. You see that Shunsuke now has Bottomless Trap Hole, Trap Trick, Trap Hole Nightmare, DD Crow, and Effect Veiler. That's basically 4 levels of disruption. I don't see any way possible that Infernity can get through 4 layers of disruption, even with 5,900 life points. Well, no, not 59. Technically, what, 43? I mean, I'm just not sure if that's possible. Not with the Nightmare, because that locks out yet another Exciton Knight. I mean, and with Soul Charge, he can't attack. If he could attack, it wouldn't be that big of an issue. But you also have to think, if he Soul Charges, I mean, a lot of his monsters are susceptible to getting hit by Bottomless. That kind of looks like he may have drawn a Mystical Space Typhoon, but I can't see. Yeah, it was an MST. Well, he can MST the Nightmare. If he wants it. He can MST the Nightmare and the Bottomless. He MSTs the Begatech. And Shunsuke decides not to summon it. Interesting play there. I thought almost certainly it would have just came out in defense. Okay, maybe he is gonna summon it. To me it looked like he wasn't gonna summon it. I mean, it was destroyed by your opponent's card effect. Let me just see what they're saying on the what's it called?
When its set card is destroyed, sent to your graveyards.
Yeah, I get that. It just seems like you should know your own cards if you're playing them, right? Clearly the card was targeted and destroyed with Mystical Space Typhoon. He placed it in the graveyard, and then he thought about it for like 2 seconds, and he was like, oh, I guess I can summon it for free. So, I mean, why does that need judge intervention? Like, that's basic Yu-Gi-Oh! Don't play cards if you don't know the effects. Unless he was saying that I'm going to trigger it, and for some reason he couldn't communicate with Cerebi that he was going to summon it. And if I'm Cerebi, I'm saying, dude, you did not summon that card. I just...
Going for is the fact that both of Artifact Begaltech's effects are mandatory.
Oh, okay.
So he has to destroy them.
It's mandatory. I did not know. I totally did not know that Begaltech was mandatory. So that means he has to blow up his Nightmare. That could be huge for Cerebi. Although, again, Cerebi has to avoid the Bottomless Trap Hole. So he has to kind of play this. He has to play this very delicately. Honestly, I'm not 100% sure if he can. Well, he dumped Necromancer, so actually he can a little bit. He knows that his opponent has bottomless. You have to obviously give them something to bottomless. But at the same time, Shunsuke could just DD Crow the Necromancer or the Archfiend, whatever. Looks like he's going hard. Eris obviously can get under bottomless. Necromancer can get under bottomless. I believe Dynatherm is 1600. Archfiend is 1800. And don't know. It's kind of crazy that even if he loses this game, he kind of got value out of that MST. He blew up a Begatech, and then Begatech blew up something else. Alright, so he's going for 4. Again, he will force the bottomless trap hole. That's a guarantee. I just think that Shunsuke has the requisite hand traps to stop this play too. Had this play came one turn earlier, where he didn't have the Trap Tricks Nightmare, he'd have been in great shape. Or where he didn't have the Trap Tricks Trap Hole Nightmare set, because you think about it, he'd have been able to hit the Begatech. That would have blew up the bottomless, and I mean he could have mounted possibly. Either way, he still has to get through the two hand traps. As long as Shunsuke plays this correctly, I don't see any way that Cerebi can win the game. Still no, he's still not activating, what's it called? No, wait, he doesn't have the Veiler, I'm sorry. He just has DD Crow. He still has not activated the, Crow. Interesting. Okay, he did actually DD Crow. He DD Crowed one of the Archfiends. And Necromancer's not going to activate. With him only having bottomless, already using the DD Crow, I'm not sure if we don't see a 180 here. Because, wait a minute, Cerebi can clearly go for Infernity Launcher off of his Surge. He goes for Necromancer. I guess he feels he can make a Lavalval chain using Dynatherm and Archfiend. But that's susceptible to what's it called? That's susceptible to bottomless trap hole. I don't know. No, I guess even, well, okay, even if it gets bottomless, you know what? If it gets bottomless, it doesn't matter. He can just go into Leviair. So he can just bring back his he can just bring something back with Leviair. He goes for Diamond Direwolf. Yeah, okay. He's smart. He goes for Diamond Direwolf knowing that he needs to get rid of bottomless at some point. Alright, there's what's it called? And then there's the normal summon. He's gonna activate it again. And you can see how much more confident Cerebi has gotten. Cerebi's making his move so much faster. I know Shunsuke is thinking, what the hell just happened? I had this game under control, and somehow I lost it. Oh, man, I really don't know if I saw this happening. I think that MST, I think that MST on Begatech and it being mandatory changed everything. Because it got rid of the Nightmare, and now you see that Cerebi summons his Necromancer, which means he gets another Archfiend. Then he starts Launcher from that Archfiend. Keep in mind, he can simply make oh lord, don't have a brain fart here. He can make Leviair. So yeah, you can keep in mind that he obviously can just make Leviair. Get back another Archfiend. He can get back Archfiend or Street Patrol. I mean, this is going to be a crazy combo. Not to mention, it depends on how many rank 4s he can actually summon, but he can actually do some burn damage here too. Now, if his opponent was under 1800 or less, he could potentially kill him with Cowboy and his own Sailboat. The judge is shuffling, despite the fact that it is almost certain that he will go right back into his deck. Both Archfiends are going to Ixie. He took a break, by the way. He's going to set the break. This is crazy because I think Cerebi's going to mount. And once he mounts, I think it's a wrap. Looks like he's thinking about going into Silent Honor Arc. His biggest concern right now, I would imagine... You know what? I'm not going to lie. I don't think there is a biggest concern. Looks like he attempted to summon another Diamond Direwolf. Maybe for Begatech. He can get rid of the other two monsters, Corn and Murmillo, fairly easy. Nope, he opts to take out Murmillo instead of Black Ship of Corn. Okay, interesting play. So he's sitting on Leviair and Necromancer, but I believe he's activating his Infernity Launcher. And he's targeting Necromancer and Archfiend. Archfiend will obviously activate. I think at this point we're going to see him add Barrier. Okay, so he adds Break instead. Then he's going to set Break. Then he's going to activate Necromancer and get another Archfiend. Okay, now I believe he'll add Barrier. Unless he's like, shut up, capital G. I know how to play this deck. Okay, and there's the Barrier. That should be all the Infernity traps that he has in his deck because he did have his first MST, obviously, or he had his first break. That was obviously hit with a card. It was either double Cyclone or it was hit with Murmillo when he used Call of the Haunted on it. So at this point, he could make his own sailboat. His sailboat could obviously kill the Begatech, and he could do some burn damage at the same time. I don't think it would have been that different if he would have used it on Murmillo. I just say maybe it might have been better to kill Sailboat. To kill Begatech when you had the chance with Diamond Direwolf, because I guess there's like some possibility your opponent could have a Veiler, but it just doesn't seem likely that Shunsuke would have saved the Veiler this entire time. Shunsuke has Dianara and Karakar D. Neither one of those cards, unfortunately for him, is going to protect his life points. This is the beauty of Soul Charge. I believe Cerebi passed to him. He didn't make any Exceed plays. He's thinking here. I think that the Dianara is going to get barriered. If he normal summon that Dianara, attempting to use its effect, it is going to get barriered. With only one card in hand, it's Dark Hole or Bust for Shunsuke. If I'm Cerebi, I'm thinking, okay, you better have Dark Hole. If not, I win. And even if you do have Dark Hole, I got +2 advantage on you. And I have Break. Break is like the best +2 advantage you can possibly have because it kills anything. Unless you're summoning Fire Hand. You see he attempts to swing. That obviously prompts Cerebi to use a Break. And from here it's elementary. Cerebi will make his own sailboat. He will blow up Begatech. He will almost certainly... Okay, never mind. He uses Break. And looks like we're seeing a scoop phase. Yep, there it is. Scoop phase. Cerebi with the ultimate comeback. Trying to give you guys a fairly unbiased commentary. I will say this. Personally, I am rooting for Cerebi. Because Japan has... They've won multiple world events, and I want to bring one home back to North America. I don't even look at it as a USA, America, all of that nonsense anymore. I kind of look at this event of we're now North America. Canada and United States, like we all came over there together. We all played at the same tournament. We're brothers in arms. So gotta root for the home team, even if he does have that Canada flag on his hat and on his shirt. I think those shirts were probably given away by the Konami staff because if you notice that Shunsuke has one too, and I believe his has the Japanese flag on it. So, yeah, they probably did that up for, probably ask the competitor. Okay, well, they say Konami on them, so there you go. They say Konami right there on the sleeve. Now, Cerebi, that was impressive. The way he played that game, that was impressive. I was just thinking, before Duelist Alliance came out, I believe Infernity is actually the best deck of the formats. Just simply because it can overwhelm opponents turn one, and it's one of the few decks in the game. Actually, maybe the only deck in the game that just says we're not interested in anything past turn 3. We want to get everything established turn 1, so that you just lose, so that we get way more cards. And Shunsuke obviously is being hurt by the fact that he has to run some of the supplemental, artifacts. Like, I'm pretty sure he's maximizing bag attacks, and unfortunately that might bite him in the butt, because you think about it, right? What was kind of the tipping scale of this match? Because in my personal opinion, the first game, the tipping scale in that game was the blind MST. I guess you could not call it a blind MST, because he knew where Bottomless was, and he knew where Nightmare was. He didn't know the face down, so I guess that was the unaccountable card. So it was like it was not really a blind MST, but when he used MST on the face down card, and it ended up being Begatech got summoned to the field, but then Begatech had to activate, which means that he lost another card. So he kind of got 2 for the price of 1. Obviously, Begatech wasn't going to be a threat to him. So, I mean, I feel like that was a tipping scale. And you think about if Serebii can actually replicate that, if he can, potentially catch Shunsuke with another Begatech in the back row, he can feel safe blind MSTing it, and then he can know that, okay, well, you got to pop your own stuff now. Unless you have a Murotech back there, or you have another artifact, I'm in good shape, because you're going to lose defensive cards. Now, personally, I believe Shunsuke cost himself that game. During that end phase where Serebii set the 2 back row cards, I'm talking about when he just had Break and Lance set, Shunsuke used double Cyclone, but he did not use it on his Begatech. I felt like if he would have he would have had enough he would have had enough damage between the Black Chipper Corn 1000, the 1600 from Murmillo, the 1700 that he could have done from Dianara simply attacking, the 1400 from Begatech, and then the 800 from Cowboy on top. I felt like he would have completely erased Soul Charge from being a threat. Instead, he did not do that, and you see that Serebii Soul Charge for like 4 cards, and he was able to come back. He made him burn his DD Crow. Effect Veiler was already gone. He danced around Bottomless Trap Hole, and from there, once he resolved 1 Archfiend, it was lights out, because then Bottomless didn't really matter. He fed his Diamond Direwolf to the Bottomless. Even if his Archfiend would have gotten Bottomless, he could have easily just went in the Leviair and got it right back, and actually just erased any deficit that Bottomless had caused. So both players were shuffling up. And I believe Shunsuke just pointed to himself, indicating that he was going to go first. And we're seeing some final shuffles from Serebii. I mean, Serebii played that game masterfully. He slow rolled it from the opening, which you hardly ever see Infernity do. He didn't put anything in the back row, obviously knowing that Shunsuke runs Double Cyclone and runs, obviously, back row hate cards. There's Call of the Haunted for Murmillo, that technically is like a back row hate card. There's Mystical Space Typhoon, Double Cyclone, Artifact Ignition is a potential threat, all those cards. So he kind of took as much damage as he could, saved Soul Charge to the end, and it actually worked out. And if I'm Shunsuke, I'm a little upset, because I had 2 great hand traps turn 1. I had a Bottomless given to me for free. I had Trap Trick Trapple. I had everything that I could want, even double Dianara, and I still lost. Outside of a Sanctum, I couldn't ask for a better hand. Sanctum is the only way that hand could have possibly gotten better. Alright. And it looks like Serebii is going to be going second. Looks like he's got a Lance in his hand at the minimum. Maybe double Lance. No, I can't see what that other card is, but I do not believe that it's Lance. It's Instant Fusion. I can't exactly read the... Oh, yes. Instant Fusion, Lance, Armageddon Knight, Infernity Archfiend. I believe he might have 2 Instant Fusions. Shunsuke has Warning. Obviously a great card. Dark Hole, no good. He's got Barrier. Okay, so he set the Warning. Pass turn. Dude, don't get MST'd. Please don't get MST'd. Oh my god, I think he just got MST'd. Dude, if he got MST'd, this shit might get real. Oh my god, I shouldn't be cursing on the stream. Or on my broadcast. Okay, so he did get MST'd, and only setting the warning, not even setting the bag attack. And you just know that Cerebee's licking his chops right now. Cerebee's thinking, I'm going off. I am about to go HAM. And okay, he goes Necromancer, or excuse me, he goes Archfiend off the Street Patrol. And he's already +1. He's going to get Necromancer. You just know that he's going to Xyz. He's going to Xyz into Lavalval Chain, detaching Archfiend. Archfiend will almost certainly, or Lavalval Chain will almost certainly dump another Street Patrol in the graveyard. I totally just realized he can attack this turn too. So, this is, we could be seeing an OTK here. It really depends on what Cerebee can get to. If he can somehow dump Eris into the graveyard. Oh wait, he has instant fusion. Yeah, this is not good. This is really, really, really not good for Shunsuke. I say that because usually when players get, you see he activates instant fusion. Oh, he runs a level 3 too. Oh yeah, he's getting OTK'd. If he's using Lavalval Chain for Street Patrol, he's getting OTK'd, son. This is not a question anymore. I believe he's just slowing down to show him the plays that he's making. 18, 18, 18, 18. Wait a minute. I think Cerebee has game on board. Doesn't he have game on board right now? Can he simply attack with everybody and then add Cowboy on top? No, that might not be game. Yeah, he might be like 200 short or something like that. I think he wants to 100% make sure that he has game on board. Shunsuke's getting OTK'd unless he has Boris. I didn't see his hand completely, but he's not coming back from this. I don't think that the card advantage is going to kill him. I just think that there's going to be too much inherent damage. Because you have to think, Lavalval is 18, Levier is 18, that's 36. He's got Archfiend on board, that's another 18, plus the 16 from Street Patrol, that's what's it called, that's 16. But he is going to go for that second Lavalval Chain. I won't be surprised if he dumps Archfiend Eris into the graveyard. Okay, he dumps Archfiend instead. Double Archfiend, yep. You just push in. You don't even think about the Necromancer in this case, because if you got Necromancer, you'd be giving up damage. I think he'll probably take Barrier. He just set a trap, so I believe that that's Barrier. And Cerebee looks really happy. He attacks with Archfiend. He shows him that he's attacking with everybody. Shunsuke has to respond to one of these attacks or he will lose the duel. I think that it was a mistake for him not to set the Bagel Tech. There was no reason not to set the Bagel Tech. Well, technically, I guess it would have been the same. No, it wouldn't have been the same. And you see that Cerebee wins the match. If he would have set the Bagel Tech, yes, it would have blown up his Solemn, but he would have had a defender on board, which means that Cerebee would have had to make something like, he would have had to make Sailboat, or he would have had to make a different card or something like that. But a Swift 2-0, that was incredible. I would like to congratulate Cerebee. I'm not going to try and pronounce your last name because I'll just butcher it. Good job on Infernity. I think that you have established it as one of the strong contenders for top deck, even with Duelist Alliance coming out. Thank you guys for watching. As always, subscribe if you haven't. Give this video a big thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Check out my Kickstarter. We're very close. Only 4 days left. Thank you guys as always.